I'm Eddie Cannell.
And I'm Tom Cannell.
This is the Mortgage Brothers podcast show. And today, Tom and I are talking about, a very hard thing that can happen. It's going to happen to, I guess, all of us, right? Death. And unfortunately, what will happen is that one of the spouses, especially if you've been looking online, you're trying to figure out information. If your spouse has died, you might be wondering this question, what do you do with the mortgage?
What do you do with that mortgage? You're not on the loan. You probably are both on title. You've been married a very long time or a short time, and all of a sudden there's the passing of one of you, and the person that's on the loan, you're like, what in the world do I do?
Yeah.
So,
and you might be it might be your spouse who's in the situation, who's died, or you may be one of the kids. You may be taking care of mom and dad, and are wondering what. We're taking care of mom and dad's affairs. We're trying to figure out and plan what to do with this mortgage. Will the bank let us make payments on this mortgage? Do we have to refinance? Do we have to sell the home? All these questions, and we want to make it pretty simple. And Tom and I, we are not real estate attorneys. Mm-hmm. We're not accountants. We don't know the law.
Right. You may think we look like we're smart enough to be attorneys, like we look like we're smart enough to be accountants, but we are not. So, yeah. Okay. So we're going to give, I don't know what to call it. It's just going to be kind of practical, not even advice. We're going to be giving a practical opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if a customer called me, which they do, right? Our customers will call us and ask these questions. This is how we would answer it. Mm-hmm. Again, so just quick disclaimer, as always, we are not attorneys. I would definitely try to get, if you need to get in touch with an attorney. That's probably something maybe you've done or you should do. But I want you to actually know that what we're going to tell you is going to be something you want to ask your attorney. Ask them about it's a federal law. In 1982, it is the St. Germain Depository Act of 1982. And it prohibits a bank from the due on sale clause when there is a surviving spouse on title.
Okay. So that's a mouthful. There's a law that you've indicated. There's a year. There's a due upon sale. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Usually, if title changes, there's a title changes on the property. There's a due on sale clause that the mortgage bank, could exercise and call that mortgage to be due, which would mean you'd have to either refinance it, somehow get, refi or sell the property.
Yeah. And again, not to kind of cross the lines here, but that whole due upon sale is when that property is being transferred to a different owner. Banks want the right to say, hey, we gave the loan to X, and now all of a sudden X is giving the property to Y? Like a whole different entity. So we're not talking about any of that. We're just talking about, in this case, the surviving spouse. What do they do? So
what we've read and researched is that this law, the St. Germain Act of 1982, protects the surviving spouse. Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to want to ask your attorney about that, and if the spouse. This is assuming both spouses are on title too. Okay, but one of them, the surviving spouse, is not on the mortgage.
Yeah, I think it would be very rare. Okay. It's safe to say it is rare that not both spouses would be on title.
That's right. It would be rare. But let's just say you were married, your husband or your wife had the mortgage before you got married, or something like that, and you never got, you weren't put on the title. You weren't put on title originally. They forgot to put you on title. You're going to be asking a couple things. Number one, I think since you are a surviving spouse, going to be wondering, are you on title? If you know that, then you're very protected. Okay, I think they're going to be very protected, and you'll be happy that you don't have anything to worry about. If you're in a community property state, this is going to be going on to something else, because maybe you might be wondering, do I have rights to the property if I'm not on title? Well, that's if you're in a community property state or not. That is something you're going to want to speak to your attorney about as well, whether or not you're in a community property state. There's 9 states that are community property, but again, if you are on title and you're a surviving spouse, the bank should not have any right to call this due.
Now
That's
let
the
me
bottom line.
Yeah, and again, the situation that you mentioned a lot of times is what comes up after an event like that happens, where there is a passing, and we get calls like what do we do? Do we refinance? Do we put it into our my name? And I think one of the answers is you certainly can if you want. If you qualify for that mortgage, you can certainly you have rights to the property because you're on title, and we could refinance you and give you your own brand new loan. Want a longer term, shorter term, lower interest rate. But assuming that you didn't want any of that, and the question is can I just stay, with my husband's or my wife's loan? That's what we're answering here.
Yeah.
I would also say this too, that we get calls from people as they're doing loans. And one of the questions I ask is, will be one of you or both of you on the loan? And sometimes I get, well, we're both going to be on the loan. And they say, I don't work, but in case something happens to my spouse, I want to be able to have rights to this loan. So even though I don't work and I'm fully retired and I play golf all day, I want to be on the loan. And so we do have some conversation about what would happen, again, looking forward in the event of a passing. So I think it's something to understand, and you need to feel comfortable as a consumer, with what position that you take. And we'd be glad to, kind of answer what questions we can. But it is technical.
So what you would do is if you wanted to keep the house and, as the surviving spouse, you just continue to make payments. All right. And whether or not I will leave that up to you to discuss with an attorney whether or not you want to notify the bank or not. But again, you're going to continue to make payments. And I don't know of anyone, I have not heard of any situation where a surviving spouse has been required to pay off a mortgage. Never heard of it.
Yeah,
because it's happened, but I've never heard of it.
But the thing about this, so what happens if you couldn't qualify? Is the bank going to literally kick you out of your house? I don't think I've ever heard of a story, to where, we raised our family in this house and been here 40 years, but because, I wasn't on the loan, I got kicked out and now I'm in an apartment.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Right. The bank, what does the bank want? They want their payments on that mortgage. That's all. If you continue to make on-time payments, you should be absolutely fine. But again, you want to speak to your attorney. And again, never heard of anyone that's ever been kicked out or required to sell or pay off that loan.
Good. Well, hopefully you've all felt this somewhat helpful.
Yeah. And if there's anything you need, just shoot us a quick email. And if you do like what we're doing here, be sure to subscribe, click the like button and that notification button. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, folks.
Hey, guys. Thanks for listening to the Mortgage Brothers podcast. Please let us know if you have any questions you'd like us to answer. You can email your questions to team@azmortgagebrothers.com. And be sure to ask us for a free quote on your next mortgage. We'll be sure to give you personalized service and help you through the whole process. Signature Home Loans, LLC does not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Signature Home Loans, NMLS 1007154, NMLS number 210917, and 1618695, Equal Housing Lender.